Hey students, namaste to all of you and very warm welcome to the next chapter of our ICSE Class 10 in One Shot series. And today we are going to be discussing the chapter, the excretory system in one shot. And this is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here on the super amazing platform of Vedantu. Well, guys, before we move on, I want you all to ask yourselves if you have been on the right track, as in terms of preparation for your board exams. If at all you haven't been doing your best, now is the time to get started. Okay, it's not late yet, but later than this might be a disaster. So before it gets late, let's start off. Okay, and also remember that your attitude is what determines your direction. Always have that in mind. Okay, guys, and remember, we are always here to support you and to ensure that you don't miss out on any of our wonderful, lovely series. Please do click on the subscribe button right now and stay tuned to all the amazing things that we keep doing right here on this channel. Okay, guys, so today let us learn about, or rather revise, all of these, all about your the excretory products, organs of excretion, structure of kidney, nephron, urine formation, and all those tiny little topics that you have to know in this chapter. Okay. So yes, starting with a quick overview of the substances which need to be eliminated from the body. Of course, the excretory system, we all know that it is the system of the body which helps in elimination of nitrogenous metabolic wastes. Right. So what are the different kinds of substances which need to be eliminated? A quick overview of that. Carbon dioxide and water form one category. So carbon dioxide is pretty much eliminated by the lungs through respiration, right? And excess water gets eliminated by sweat. We are all aware of this. Excess water also does get eliminated through urine, right? Then nitrogenous metabolic wastes, they get excreted through the kidneys, of course. Excess salts and vitamins, again, through the kidneys and through sweat, partly. What about water? Once again, some of the water gets eliminated along with sweat, but some of it dissolves harmful substances, different harmful substances in the body, which later get eliminated either through kidneys or through sweat or any other means. Okay, and then bile pigments also. Right. So what is bile exactly? Just for you to remember, bile is the sort of juice which is secreted by your liver, produced by the liver and released by the gallbladder into the small intestine to help in digestion. There are bile pigments in the body which perform a very important role. We've been discussing all of those. So excess bile pigments get eliminated along with feces, fecal matter. Now, children, let me remind you, those of you who are new to the One Shot series, please do have it in mind that One Shot is intended for a very quick revision, probably like at the time of your study holidays when you have to revise like a very long list of chapters or subjects in a single day, or maybe on the eve of the exam or on the day of the exam. It's not intended for studying from scratch. If it is studying the chapter, learning the chapter from scratch that you are looking at, please do check out our main playlist. We've spread across all the concepts of this chapter over a few sessions. I guess about 3 or 4 sessions or something, plus Menti also, doubts plus Menti. So you can check out all that and you will feel a lot better prepared. Okay, so today we might not be covering every single tiny little nitty-gritties of the chapter. Okay, right. So the excretory organs, the major excretory organs of the body are the kidneys, skin, lungs, and the liver, right? So we've seen what each of them does excrete as well, or what each of them does release as well. Primary excretory organs are, of course, the kidneys, and they form a huge majority of the portions of this particular chapter, right? The kidneys are found in the abdominal cavity. Right. And then what about the accessory excretory organs? Skin, of course, which helps in the elimination of sweat. And this is what the cross section of skin would look like, of course. It's a very important organ of our body, the largest organ of the body, in fact, apart from the liver, because liver is the largest internal organ of the body. The skin is the largest external organ of the body, which acts as a very important barrier for protection. Okay. Right. What about the lungs? Of course, I've told you how the lungs help you, right? Elimination of carbon dioxide and elimination of water to a certain extent through respiration. Right. So lungs as well would be an example for accessory excretory organs. And then comes the liver, bile pigments, right? So liver is also important. Now talking about the kidneys, we've also spoken about the dimensions of the kidneys in this chapter. They are roughly about 10 centimeters in length, 6 centimeters in width. And you know that each kidney looks like a bean-shaped structure, right? Literally a bean-shaped structure. The right kidney is generally said to be slightly lower than the left kidney, right? So that's the anatomical design of the kidneys. Talking about the entire urinary system. Of course, it starts with the kidneys, and on top of the kidneys, what you see here are the adrenal glands. Not something that you need for this chapter, but something that you certainly must know, part of endocrine system. Okay, so adrenal glands are found seated like a cap on top of the kidneys. So you have a pair of kidneys, and there is a pair of ureters, the urinary bladder, the urethra. All right. And apart from this, there's also blood supply, which you see here in red and blue. The red would be the renal artery. Okay, renal artery, which supplies oxygenated blood to the kidneys, which get filtered to form urine. And the blue one is the renal vein, which carries deoxygenated blood away from the kidneys back into your heart. Okay. Now, in addition to all of these parts, there are also sphincter muscles, the internal and the external sphincter muscles, which greatly help in controlling the urge to urinate. Okay, so sphincter muscles play a major role around the region of the urethra in urination, in the act of what we call micturition. Okay, micturition, which is the act of urination itself. Right? So that's where they majorly play a role. Now, if you observe the longitudinal section of a kidney, children, this is what it looks like. It's got an outer cortex and an inner medullary region. Okay, and as you can see here, the medullary region is arranged in the form of pyramids. So we call them renal pyramids or medullary pyramids. Okay, and these regions are called renal columns. And this region, this inner region is called the calyx, okay, the renal calyx or the calyx. And apart from this, as I've told you earlier, there's the renal artery and the renal vein, which form the blood supply to and from the kidney. And this area is called the renal pelvis, into which urine which is formed by the nephrons would be emptied. And from the renal pelvis, urine would enter into the ureter, and through the ureter, it would go down to reach the urinary bladder to get eliminated through the urethra. Okay, so this is how our excretory system would work. And talking about the nephrons, there are approximately 1 million nephrons or uriniferous tubules, which make up the tiny functional units of each of our kidneys, right? Millions of them. So this is what a nephron looks like. All right, so this is where the arrangement of a nephron would be. It's not just one of them, remember. There are 1 million nephrons, at least 1 million nephrons in both our kidneys. Okay, so this is how nephrons would be arranged. Part of them in the cortex and part of each nephron in the medullary region of the kidney. Okay, so if you can observe it, this is what it looks like. The arrangement of nephron zoomed in to one section of the kidney. Okay, children, the cortex, the medulla, and the remaining parts of the nephron. I'll come to talk about more about the parts of the nephron, but this is what it looks like. Some bit of it in the cortex, some bit of it in the medulla. All right, right. So now talking about the 4 major parts of the nephron, which are the Bowman's capsule, which is this capsule-like structure, followed by the proximal convoluted tubule, followed by the loop of Henle, and finally the distal convoluted tubule. And ultimately, there's also what we call the collecting tubule or the collecting duct. Okay, all of this together helps in urine formation. So just for your information, we've also put in all the information of each of these parts. Of course, PCT is not mentioned separately because it would just be a continuation of the Bowman's capsule. The only difference would be reabsorption would start in the PCT. But the major anatomical structures which you need to know in the Bowman's capsule have been mentioned here. Okay, children? So the Bowman's capsule, as you can see, it's a thin-walled, cup-shaped and a hollow ball. And the most important thing you need to know here is the tuft of blood capillaries, which we call the glomerulus. It is into the glomerulus that blood supply from the afferent arteriole would come in. An afferent arteriole is a branch of the renal artery. Okay, so that gets into the glomerulus, and the part of the blood which does not get filtered goes out of the glomerulus through the efferent arteriole. Okay, right. So the Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus together is given a very special name. We call it the Malpighian capsule or the renal capsule. Okay, children, you must know very clearly the structures because glomerular filtrates and things like that. Even if you forget what the actual meaning is, if you at least know what the anatomical structure is, like what is the glomerulus, what could glomerular filtrates be, you would be able to come to conclusions like that. Okay, so very important for you to know. Now, Bowman's capsule is followed by the proximal convoluted tubule, as you can see right here, wherein a lot of reabsorption happens. This is followed by the loop of Henle, this entire U-shaped tube, like a U-pin, right, runs into the medulla of the kidney, returns back into the cortex. And this is followed by the DCT or the distal convoluted tubule, the DCT. Okay, ultimately this opens in the collecting duct or the collecting tubule. Okay, right. So this is the major arrangement of the nephron. Now the general appearance of the kidney, it looks pretty much like this, as in the cortex would appear dotted due to the presence of the Bowman's capsule and the PCT. They're very, very important for you to know. Let me just mark it as very important. Okay, this is the important symbol that we used to use in our school days. Okay, so I'm just adding this to your notes as well. Now, children, talking about notes, remember to download the handwritten notes right after you're done with the session and save it in a proper systematic place so that it's going to help you a lot in your final revisions. Okay, guys, so yes, the cortex has got dotted appearance due to the presence of Bowman's capsule and PCT, and contrary to this, the medulla has got a striped appearance because of the loop of Henle and collecting ducts. Okay, right. So this is the anatomical design. Talking about blood supply to the kidney tubules, of course, I've told you about the afferent arteriole and the efferent arteriole, which form a part of the glomerulus, right? Afferent arteriole brings in blood and this enters the glomerulus. Part of it gets filtered to form the glomerular filtrate, enters into the Bowman's capsule, passes on further in urine formation. The rest of the parts, rest of the components of blood, which don't form a part of the glomerular filtrate, they exit through the efferent arteriole. Okay, guys? So, apart from all this, you must be aware that there is a peritubular capillary network, which is this entire red, tiny little tubes, thin little tubes that you see running parallelly and coiled up around each nephron. They play a very, very important role in the steps of reabsorption and secretion in urine formation. Okay, so you must have a sense of how it's arranged. Otherwise, as I always say, memorizing, not such a good idea. Okay, now taking a quick break, children. As I always keep telling you, now is the right time to get started. The month of January, and this is the right time to make a proper systematic plan and ensure that you don't leave any stone unturned, right? Explore every option to do your best in your final exams. And as part of that, it's important for you to be aware of Vedantu's courses as well. Children, Vedantu gives you the opportunity to be a part of unlimited live classes with fun and high-level quizzes. You get to compete with students across India, across the world as such, and that will really boost your confidence. And if at all there's any session that you miss out when it's happening live, you always have the option of checking out the interactive replay, by which I mean the quizzes and leaderboards would still be live, although it may be a replay of the session that you missed happening live. Okay, so I think that's really an amazing feature. And apart from all this, after every session, you get premium downloadable content. Handwritten notes of master teachers would be part of that. Okay, now apart from all this, unlimited doubt solving with the help of master teachers and class teachers, tests and assignments, all guaranteed to boost your confidence in every concept and in every chapter. So children, what else does it have? Those of you who are registered with Vedantu Pro subscription get a free access to our 5,000 plus micro courses. Can you imagine? And apart from this, the free crash courses are also going to come as part of Pro subscription. And as far as pricing is concerned, of course, we always believe that more classes should give you lesser price. But how does it work? I'll tell you that, but remember to visit the link in the description box below and in the pinned comment. The coupon code that you can apply would be AMBPRO to ensure that you get it at the best possible rates. Okay? Now, what exactly are the rates like? A 1 month of Pro subscription would normally mean that you get a 30-day subscription, 30-day access to about 200 live sessions. But what would they include? I mean, what subjects would they include? It would include science, maths, English, and social studies, which means we've got you covered almost entirely, right? So all of this, if you use it properly, you can cover your entire syllabus in just a month. Okay, so 2,699 per month for all of these subjects together is what the normal pricing is. But again, even on top of that, if you go ahead and apply the coupon code AMBPRO, you get it even further reduced to 2,159. Isn't that amazing? Well, for those of you who want to stay tension-free for a slightly longer period of time, say for example, for 3 months, you get it at an even more reasonable rate, which is 5,599 for 3 months together. Isn't that just wonderful? Because it's not the per subject cost, children. It is the cost of all of these subjects which I have told you. Everything, not just 1 or 2 subjects. Okay. So again, making a further evaluation, please be aware that going by this, you end up paying just rupees 11 per session or per class in a 1 month subscription. And a 3 month subscription would mean you pay just rupees 9 per session. And I personally think that is wonderful, because think about any common thing that you would buy, maybe like a pen, a pencil, an eraser, like a decent one, your favorite snack packets, your favorite packets of Lay's, your favorite chocolate bars, whatever it may be, rupees 11 and rupees 9 would mean that it's even more reasonably priced than those. And I personally think that's wonderful. You have to make the best use of it when it's available to you right now. All you need to remember, children, is this AMBPRO. Okay, which will ensure that you get it at the best possible rate. Check out the link in the description box below. Now, for those of you who really don't think you need that sort of personalized attention, while I highly recommend you should go ahead for that, because that will help you identify your strengths and weaknesses. Anyway, don't worry at all. On YouTube, we will continue to do amazing series. So certainly click on the subscribe button right now below this. You're not going to be charged anything for that. Okay, so we will continue working very, very hard for you even on this, apart from this. Okay, right. Coming to the steps of urine formation, there are 3 major steps, which are glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion. Okay, so starting with glomerular filtration, which we call ultrafiltration. Afferent arteriole brings in blood into the glomerulus, and what happens is, through the tiny little pores on the walls of the Bowman's capsule, some bits of the blood pass into the Bowman's capsule, get filtered and pass into the Bowman's capsule. They would form what we call glomerular filtrate. Okay, of course, it wouldn't include larger components of blood like proteins and RBCs and stuff like that. If at all proteins and RBCs become a part of urine, it would possibly indicate some kind of an underlying disease, because this step of filtration is not happening normally. Okay, so some parts of some components of blood which are small enough to pass through the pores would become a part of the glomerular filtrate. What happens to the rest of them? The larger particles which don't become a part of glomerular filtrate, they end up leaving the glomerulus through the afferent arteriole, this opening here, this arteriole here, this tube here, the efferent arteriole, sorry. This is the afferent arteriole and this is the efferent arteriole, right? Okay. Now do remember that the difference in diameter, okay? The difference in diameter of afferent and efferent is also important for you to keep in mind. All right, now coming to step 2, which is reabsorption. Now in reabsorption, it's selective reabsorption, wherein the blood capillaries which are surrounding the tubular parts of your nephron, they reabsorb from the glomerular filtrate whatever the body needs at that point of time. It could be sodium, it could be amino acids, it could be glucose, it could be anything that's useful to the body which accidentally became filtered as part of the glomerular filtrate. Okay, so your body is basically trying to reabsorb it because by chance it happened to miss it in ultrafiltration or glomerular filtration. Okay, because in ultrafiltration, it's just based on size, pretty much based on size, that filtration randomly happens, nothing beyond that. But it's in reabsorption that, depending upon your body's needs, certain substances get reabsorbed into the bloodstream. This is step 2, which is reabsorption, and most of it happens in the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, now coming to tubular secretion, wherein any further additional wastes, it could be drugs, it could be excess urea, it could be excess water, sometimes it could be anything at all which your body needs to eliminate additionally, like as a sort of last step cleaning up from your bloodstream. It passes into your loop of Henle and DCT. This is what is called tubular secretion, and ultimately it forms urine. Okay, and eventually, as you can see, these are the 3 steps that we have discussed: glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, tubular secretion, and ultimately this urine passes into the collecting duct or the collecting tubule, wherein excess water, if at all it's there in the urine, it gets reabsorbed and returned back into the blood so that the urine or the wastes get concentrated. Okay, this is pretty much how mechanism of urine formation works. Now, children, for those of you who want to know this well in detail, either check out our main playlist where we have discussed it properly in depth, or check out the Bio Bites in 15-minute series, the topic of mechanism of urine formation. Okay, that's also been done in a very quick video. All right, so now coming to the physical properties of urine, which are less commonly asked in your exams, but it's important for you to know because it's part of your syllabus. Okay, urine is typically clear yellow due to the presence of the pigment urochrome, and this may vary based on the diet as well. Okay, for vegetarians and for non-vegetarians, it may slightly vary, and depending upon your water intake as well. Volume, how much of urine per day? 1 to 1.5 liters are produced on an average, but again, it varies according to each individual person's health and consumption of fluids and whatever kinds of foods they eat. pH of urine, it is said to be slightly on the acidic side. 5 to 8 on an average would be the pH of urine. A protein diet would normally give rise to a more acidic urine, while a vegetable diet or a vegetarian diet would mean urine typically is going to be slightly on the alkaline side, which means above 7. Okay, now what about the odor? Normally, urine has got a faint odor, but if kept for a long time, maybe like several minutes or hours or even days, then definitely it's going to develop a strong ammonia smell due to bacterial activity. And specific gravity also 1.003 to 1.035. You don't really have to memorize these, children, but it's important for you to know just in case anything indirectly is asked from this. Constituents of urine, we know that it's typically 95% water and only about 5% solid wastes, which could include anything urea and anything else. Urea, creatinine, uric acid, maybe any other miscellaneous waste, NaCl, or sodium chloride, sorry, potassium chloride, ammonia, and a lot more. These are the different organic and inorganic constituents of urine, and how much they are found, in what concentration they are found in urine, in grams per liter. It's given here for you. Okay, right. Now coming to abnormal constituents of urine. Children, again, this is something you have to know. As I told you earlier, having blood in urine is not a very normal thing. Blood cells in urine or blood in urine could indicate a condition called hematuria, wherein blood passes in urine, normally, typically due to an infection of the urinary tract, or it could indicate kidney stones. It could even indicate a tumor. Okay. Another abnormal constituent of urine could be glucose. And this condition, wherein glucose is passed along with urine, is called glycosuria. Okay, this indicates a form of diabetes which is called diabetes mellitus, or the sugar diabetes as we call it. Albumin, which is a protein which is normally found in blood, if there is a high concentration of albumin in urine, it could indicate a high blood pressure or an increased permeability of Bowman's capsule membrane. Remember, I told you proteins normally don't allow blood cells and albumin and other proteins to pass through it. So that means if at all these constituents are found in your urine, it means Bowman's capsule could be slightly extra permeable to these substances. Then bile pigments, if present in the urine, could indicate anemia, hepatitis, or liver cirrhosis. Any of those underlying liver diseases. Now, diuresis. Remember, the term diuresis would mean formation of dilute urine. Or rather, diuresis is the elimination of dilute urine. Okay, so the water content of urine, or the concentration of urine, how dilute or how concentrated urine is going to be, is determined by a very important hormone in our body, which is secreted by the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. This hormone is called ADH, anti-diuretic hormone, or vasopressin. This secreted by the posterior pituitary, and it acts on the kidney tubules. Okay, this would mean that if there is an insufficient level of ADH hormone, urine would be excessively dilute. Okay, insufficient ADH hormone could result in a condition called diabetes insipidus. Nothing to do with sugar levels in the body. It's a form of diabetes called diabetes insipidus. Diabetes mellitus is the sugar diabetes. Diabetes insipidus, wherein there is too much water in urine due to insufficient ADH hormone. Okay. And then finally, we have also discussed the concept of osmoregulation. Now, again, I think it's closely related to the function of ADH. If you understand what diuresis is, I think anti-diuretic hormone, anti-diuresis, you would be able to guess the meaning of that. Opposite of dilute urine. What is it? That is what ADH does. So if you know the meaning of that, pretty much the concept of osmoregulation is going to be very easy for you to explain. Okay, so for example, water level in your blood, in your body, drops below a normal range. Say, for example, this happens. Your hypothalamus, which is part of your brain, it's able to detect higher solute concentration in blood because obviously water concentration has dropped below the normal range. Now, when this occurs, hypothalamus creates feelings of thirst. Okay, and then your hypothalamus conveys a message to the posterior lobe of the pituitary. It goes and tells the posterior lobe of pituitary, it's now your job to release more ADH, because this person has got a shortage of water in the body. Secretes more ADH so that ADH will reabsorb all the water in the body, and as a result, water loss through urine could be minimized. Okay, so this is what the hypothalamus conveys to the posterior pituitary, and as a result, the posterior pituitary releases more ADH, and the person drinks water. ADH stimulates the kidneys to reabsorb water, and water level comes back to normal. If at all the water level rises above a normal range, the opposite would be the case. Again, the hypothalamus would be able to detect low solute concentration, and as a result, it conveys to the posterior pituitary to release lesser ADH, and as a result, kidneys are able to reabsorb less water. Okay, they end up reabsorbing less water because less ADH is secreted, and as a result, water levels in the blood come back to normal. Isn't it amazing? Our body takes care of everything by itself. Okay, then hemodialysis is something, again, okay, I'll just write that term here for you, hemodialysis. In the case of a kidney failure, an artificial kidney performs the job, which is a procedure which is advised for people with severe kidney damage. Okay, so everything, this particular machine, it replicates everything that your kidneys would do with a set of tubes, of course, taking the blood out of the person's body and connected into a machine wherein the machine or the artificial kidney does all that your kidney tubules would do, all sorts of filtration, reabsorption, secretion, everything is done. And ultimately, after removing all the metabolic waste, the nitrogenous waste from your blood, the purified blood is pumped back into the patient's body. This is how hemodialysis or artificial kidney works. This is the entire gist of it. Right? So you can just go through it, children. I've just put it here for your reference. Ultimately, this is what happens. It's basically a machine which replicates the job of your kidneys. That's it. Okay. So that's about it. Congratulations. And we are done with revising excretory system in one single shot. So you now know all of this. Excretory products, the organs of excretion, structure of kidneys and nephrons, the process of urine formation, constituents of urine, regulation of urine output, osmoregulation, and artificial kidney. So guys, please remember, apart from all this, we've got amazing things to offer you on Vedantu Pro. So check out the details of that by clicking on the link in the description box below. Apply the coupon code AMBPRO. Okay, you are sure to fall in love with it. Just give it a shot and you will know how amazingly designed it is. And if you have found this useful, children, please, please, please do not miss out on clicking on the like button right now. And as I always tell you, sharing is caring. So please share this with all your class 10 ICSE friends. I sincerely want maximum number of ICSE students to benefit from all the amazing things that we do here on this channel. Because children, let me be very honest, as I always keep telling you, you wouldn't find many channels out there on YouTube that are dedicated to the ICSE syllabus. But on the Vedantu 9th and 10th English channel, especially on the English channel, we give a lot of focus to ICSE. Okay, guys, because we understand that you guys also need something to learn systematically from. So please, please, please share it with all your friends and stay subscribed. Encourage your friends also to subscribe to this channel, Vedantu 9th and 10th English, because it's not just going to be academics, as you always know. It's going to be motivational sessions that also we come up with on a regular basis. And of course, for those of you who are active on Instagram, this is my Instagram ID. Oops. Okay. Anyway, Ambika_Vedantu. Okay, just search for it and you can start following me there, because even there we will keep coming up with a lot of regular and useful posts for you to make your learning process, your life as such, a lot simpler than you ever thought. Okay, guys. So let's meet again. And until we meet again, take care, stay happy and stay healthy. Bye-bye.